It's 8 a.m. and we're back on Wake Up Cricket. What a weekend it's been for cricket. We saw India win matches finally. We also saw India lose matches just before the weekend. We saw multiple 200 plus scores. We also saw 200 plus scores being chased. We saw 150 plus score, and then we saw matches yesterday that went down to the super over, and we saw the Chennai Super Kings play a test match once again. That's been the weekend, and if you have missed it, this is the place to be, because we talk about cricket from all over the world and especially things that happen in the world of cricket. If you haven't liked, share, and subscribe, do that. Let's get into it.
Well, to sum it all, we've seen way too many things, and one is supposed to over a period of 2 days. Let's get started. Rinku, Narine win KKR Eros Troon Super Over game. In a battle between the bottom place teams, momentum shifted hands multiple times before Kolkata Knight Riders beat Lucknow Super Giants in the Super Over, with Rinku Singh playing a pivotal role throughout the game. Before the Super Over, effectively 4 balls across both innings, the 20th over of each innings in regulation time had the biggest say in an error-strewn game. After 19 overs, KKR were 129 for 7. Rinku smashed Digvesh Rathi for 4 successive sixes in a 26-run over to take them to 155 for 7. Rinku finished on 83 not out of 51 balls, his highest score in T20s. In the chase, LSG needed 17 from 6 balls with Himmat Singh and Mohammad Shami at the crease. Kartik Tyagi conceded successive no balls of beamers before dismissing Himmat, but served up a half volley with 7 needed from 1 ball, and Shami launched it over long off to tie the game. The super over was an anticlimax. Sunil Narine bowled Nicholas Puran first ball and had Eden Markram caught off the third, with Rishabh Pant managing a single in between. Here too, Rinku had a hand to play. When Markram launched Narayan towards long on, Robin Powell sprinted towards his left, caught the ball at the boundary, and flicked the ball towards long off, where Rinku completed the catch. This was in addition to his 4 catches earlier in the match. Then, taking strike in KKR's super over, he drove Prince Yadav's first ball through cover point for 4 to seal the win.
Yeah, the amount of times Megha said Rinku in this news is exactly the amount of time Rinku was present in the match yesterday. It almost seemed like everything that was happening in the game of cricket, for whatever reason, Rinku Singh was present. The amount of catches being taken, the fielding, the super over, and even before that, the one catch before the super over even started, the last wicket to fall was Rinku Singh taking the catch. But more importantly, his contribution with the bat. Now, him coming into this IPL, he didn't get a lot of games for the Indian team. And even last year in the IPL, he didn't score all that much. In this IPL, he didn't score all that much before the last couple of games. And there was a lot of criticism because he's supposed to be this finisher for this Indian team, but hasn't been consistent enough. And even for the Kolkata Knight Riders, he wasn't scoring enough runs. And then you had him at this position where Kolkata found themselves being 93 for 7, and it looked done and out. Like Kolkata Knight Riders looked completely out of it. Musin Khan getting those 5 wickets. First of all, there was a point where Kolkata Knight Riders had 6 wickets fallen, out of which Musin Khan had taken 5 of them, and one was a very controversial obstruction of the field dismissal, which a lot of people agreed with later on. But at that time, a lot of people were angry, especially if you're a Kolkata Knight Riders fan. But yeah, and then you had Rinku Singh staying not out, scoring so much for the Kolkata Knight Riders. I say so much as if scoring 83. I should have just said the number. Scoring 83 runs. And yeah, what a day for him. What a day to be Rinku Singh yesterday is what I'm gonna say.
Moving on, CSK puzzled by the pitch. Rituraj Gaikwad, we didn't have any idea how Chepauk pitch would play. Chennai Super Kings did not have any idea how the Chepauk pitch was going to play in their day game against Gujarat Titans on Sunday, Captain Rituraj Gaikwad has said. CSK were reduced to 26 for 3 in the fifth over after they were asked to bat, and they struggled their way to 158 for 7. Gaikwad said it was too late by the time they adapted to the conditions, which resulted in an 8 wicket loss. Last 3 games we played here, I think we kind of got to know how it will play, or we were in the situation where we felt okay, 60% it is going to play like this, 70% it's going to play like this. Gaikwad told the broadcaster. But this game, we didn't have any idea about how it would play, and by the time we wanted to adapt and change, we were, I think, too late. And then after that, we tried, but it didn't just come off. CSK have so far batted first in all their games at home in IPL 2026, and on previous three occasions, they had posted 209, 212, and 192, all while batting first. Only the first of those wasn't enough as Punjab Kings had chased it down, but in the other game, CSK had defended the totals. For the medium pacers, it was holding a bit and it was two paced, Gaikwad said of the pitch. Even the bounce was a bit up and down, but I felt not for too many wickets up front. We would have still got to maybe 170 or 180, and that would have still been competitive. But I really doubt that even after the power play, they just still kept coming, and it was a bit difficult to play some shots.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit conflicted about what Ruturaj Gaikwad said. For starters, let's look at how the Chennai Super Kings found themselves in the most difficult position in the power play. They were 21 for 1, 25 for 2, 26 for 3, and 37 for 4. And this 37 for 4 was by the end of 8.2 overs. But yeah, they found themselves being 37 runs only by the end of 8.2 overs. Says something about the position they were in. Right. Now, coming back to what Ruturaj Gaikwad said, I don't know how I feel about him saying that I don't know we didn't know how the pitch is going to play out. For starters, now I don't like making comparisons, but if you had the previous captain, and we're going to talk about him next anyway, I feel like the Chennai Super Kings was used to be so successful on pitches like this. Of course, it wasn't two pace as such, but it was slow. It would spin quite a bit, and it was turning quite a bit yesterday. And it was on these kind of pitches that the Chennai Super Kings would just relish. Except, yeah, these are the kind of pitches that you would hope for, like hope as a Chennai Super Kings fan. But him saying that he didn't know how the pitch is going to play out, for starters, right? So even if you didn't know, you got to adapt. You play international cricket. You're playing the IPL. It's the highest form of T20 cricket apart from international cricket. You got to adapt pretty quick, and it didn't seem like he was able to do that yesterday. He himself as captain. In fact, even though he stayed not out in the end, I didn't think it was a mature innings from him. So I feel like there's a lot more accountability that he needs to take rather than just talk about the pitch.
And I think there'd be more questions around it and more conversations around it, initiated from his side as well, as the tournament progresses, as Chennai Super Kings do not get results, favorable results at home, and if his runs continue to not
True,
come.
true,
So, and yeah, last season as well. I think this conversation has gathered steam since the last season when they struggled a lot at home, which is something very unusual. The pitch has
true,
changed nature, but beyond a point, how much can you talk about it?
true.
Nonetheless, Fleming says Dhoni's return from calf injury delayed by setback. The delay in MS Dhoni joining Chennai Super Kings on the field is tied to the former captain pushing himself too hard in a preseason practice game and suffering a setback to an already injured calf. Dhoni was initially only ruled out of the first 2 weeks of the competition. The calf is a tough one, CSK head coach Stephen Fleming said after they went down to Gujarat Titans by 8 wickets on Sunday. If he takes off and rips a calf again, then he will be gone for the whole season. So we pushed it early. In a warm up game, he tweaked it again. It is my understanding, and since then, he has been just working hard to get some movement into it. But there was a setback. Dhoni has been with CSK since March, and there have been plenty of visuals of him on social media playing practice games and having net sessions. However, he has not played any of CSK's 8 matches so far. He hasn't even been at the ground on match days. The 44-year-old has previously played in the IPL with injuries, but the current one is taking a little longer to heal than CSK expected. But look, he's a guide on this one, Fleming said, and he's working hard with the physio and doing all the rehab. We're just waiting for the word, really, but I can keep saying it's not making light of this. He's progressing and doing everything.
Yeah, again, I'm sure he has a calf injury, and I'm sure there's someone in the team who wants him to play. But I was going to say knowing Chennai Super Kings, knowing MS Dhoni, not that I know him, but like knowing his patterns over the last whatever years of his international career, I won't be surprised if this is just him walking out of the IPL. Right, a lot of people already presume that because this is what he does. He doesn't make it a big show about it. Sure, in the last couple of years, he's always had this last season
Into the
not
season
aura.
questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so, but for him to do this without really making an announcement, without letting the world know that hey, this is my last season. I'm not going to play after this, or I'm not even going to play this season. It won't be a surprise if this is that. But I'm not. I won't be surprised if there is a calf injury that he is dealing with because Yeah, he might just get injured. He hasn't played any cricket the year around, and then he comes back and plays those practice matches. It's not a surprise he gets injured. He's a 40-year-old man. But we also saw him keep wickets the last couple of days. I don't know if we saw him bad. I don't know if there's a visual of seeing him bad, but he was keeping wickets, and so that is nice. It's good to see him play because I'm sure he still wants to play the game. Because which cricket fan, if you love the game, you still want to play regardless of the age. I'm glad he's playing, but I will be shocked if he makes a comeback into the playing 11, even if he is fit. What I won't be surprised by is if Chennai Super Kings find themselves in a stage where they're no more able to qualify to the top four, or yeah, just play be part of the top four, then I won't be surprised if he comes and plays us one or two games, especially if there are matches at home remaining, because you would expect that from MS Dhoni, possibly just as a goodbye match. But again, he doesn't really like all of those things, so you never know.
And with the impact player rule restricting the role and allowing players not at their 100% fitness point of view, probably the likelihood increases. Now, Ashwin, where are your boys? Nonetheless, we move
Yeah,
on.
I was wondering.
Sooryavanshis, yeah?
I was wondering where they are. Can't seem
Yeah,
to.
they haven't woken up, it looks like.
True, true.
Nonetheless, recommended for Sooryavanshi, the Brian Lara strategy. Vaibhav Sooryavanshi has often said he's modeled his batting on Brian Lara. Now, after hitting his second IPL century, this time of 36 balls, Lara's compatriot Carlos Braithwaite said he wants Sooryavanshi to be guided the way Lara was in his younger days. Lara was identified quite early as a special talent and spent time with Viv Richards and others before actually making his Test and ODI debut as a 21-year-old. Braithwaite said that would be, in fact, the right pathway for Suryavanshi too, keeping the teenager close to the Indian squad without giving him a debut just yet. I apologize, Vaibhav, but if you look at how West Indies handled Brian Lara, he was a generational talent everybody knew. Braithwaite said on ESPN Cricinfo's timeout show after Suryavanshi's 37 ball 103 for Rajasthan Royals went in vain against Sunrisers Hyderabad. So, what did West Indies do? They put him in the mix with Viv Richards and whatnot, but he didn't play international cricket. That was a different time with loads of tour games, and he cut his teeth with the senior players without having made his debut. And then we know how his career went once he debuted. So maybe there's the best of both the worlds where you can have him with the Indian team, learn from Virat Kohli, learn from Rohit Sharma, learn from Suryakumar Yadav. There are younger players that are close to him in that age that he can learn from before just throwing him in the deep end. Deep Das Gupta said Suryavanshi's elevation was only a matter of time, but he still needed careful handling. Das Gupta felt Sooryavanshi was superb technically, but he could be tested when form, a fickle thing on occasion for most batters, awaited him. Well, Ashwin, could it be attributed to the fact that you're not wearing a blazer? This was in response to the point that I raised before I started with the story.
That is true. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, but that last week, I don't think I wore a blazer when I was
No, you
supposed
didn't.
to, which,
You
yeah,
promised,
maybe.
but you didn't. No.
Yeah, that's true. I disappointed them. Now, people discussing the handling of Vaibhav Suryavanshi shouldn't come as a surprise to any of us, because he's just a 16-year-old, and there are a lot of people already talking about his diet and his
15,
fitness.
Ashwin.
50. He's a 15-year-old. Well, there you go. Well, and a lot of people talking about his diet and his fitness and how he should be doing certain things. And I feel like people forget that he's a 15-year-old, and l- I don't think that he should care about his diet and any of that for now. I think he should take care of his fitness, especially because if he wants to play the game for a very long time. But yeah, don't. I understand where Brathwaite is coming from, and I think if the Indian team were to take that route, I think it'll be fantastic. I just feel like we haven't done it before, so I feel like we wouldn't know how to do it before. But if we were to do it, I think that is the right way to do it. It's right when you say that it's. s- There are a lot of people already talking about him possibly making his debut in the Island series. I do want him to be part of the Indian team, but like Carlos Brathwaite said, I don't think he should be in the deep end straight away. I think he should be part of the Indian team for a while, regardless of if he's playing or not, and then placed him in the playing 11, because he's just 15 and there's so much more time to go. But people often forget that your career can change overnight because of whatever reason. It could be an attitude thing, it could be a money thing, or it could just be anything. And you should handle him very very carefully, because in the end he's a kid and he is bound to make mistakes, and unfortunately in the international circuit a mistake or two can just cause a career.
Interesting. Now, moving on. Ngidi stable after being taken to hospital for head injury. Delhi Capital's fast bowler Lungengiri was taken to the hospital in an ambulance after appearing to have injured his head during Punjab Kings' chase at the Arun Jaitley Stadium on Saturday. He suffered the blow while pedaling back from mid-off to try and catch PBK's opener Priyansh Arya, but ended up dropping the chance as he fell backwards and hit his head hard on the ground. He immediately clutched the back of his head in pain and did not get off the turf. Play was halted for a significant amount of time as the physio and doctors rushed onto the field to check on Engiri, who continued to lay on the grass. His neck and head were eventually supported by a brace, and he was put on a stretcher and into the ambulance for further checks. Just over an hour after he was stretchered off, the IPL tweet said that Engiri was stable and was due to be discharged shortly from the hospital.
And that is good news, right? That is very good news because when the incident happened, a lot of people were worried. I was glad that the play was just halted, and yeah, it was just a little, it was a scary situation, especially if you're watching TV and you didn't know what was happening. But yeah, I'm very, very happy that he's okay and he's back at the hotel and he's doing okay, because when it happened and when he was taken off the stretcher and when the ambulance came onto the field, yeah, the situation wasn't great, and you don't want to see that in the cricketing field or any sport. In fact, you don't want players to be taken off a stretcher or an ambulance, especially off the field, because just doesn't, for starters, they're playing the game that they love, and you don't want to see them in a situation where that's happening to them while playing the game that they love. But even from the outside, you don't want to see that happen, because you feel for the player, but you don't know what the player is going through because of the amount of pain and all of that. It's just the situation in itself isn't great. But I'm glad that he's okay, and I'm glad that he's back. That is a good positive way to end the serious stuff. Megha, do you want to get into the meme straight away?
Yeah, we can get on to the meme, but well, Rahul Dravid played cricket 13 years back. Cricket back then, including T20 cricket, was very different, and he played to the demands of the situation. It wasn't like he was struggling with strike rate in T20s. There was a template that he followed, and he was fairly effective for RCB and then RR.
Well, that is true. But you will know the context if you see the meme. I know you guys haven't seen the meme, but when you see the meme, you'll understand why she's. There you go. You'll understand why she's talking about Rahul Dravid. Well, was never this good. Prime Rahul Dravid was never this good. Took Raj is playing his own league this season, and they're talking about Ruturaj Gaikwad. To be fair, Rahul Dravid was in the IPL wasn't all that bad. He was okay. He did his job for the team, especially like Megha said, because back then T20 cricket was very different, and so I feel like that's insulting Rahul Dravid for no reason. But
Yeah, for
th-
no reason, dragging him. He's not even coaching any side this season.
yeah, that's, I mean, gladly so. The Rajasthan Royals would say, but uh, yeah, Ruturaj Gaikwad, yeah, he's getting a lot of slack this season, and again, it's because he hasn't scored any runs. It's quite a surprise because you would expect Riyan Parag, the captain of the Rajasthan Royals, Ruturaj Gaikwad, the captain of the Chennai Super Kings, and I don't think any other captain has had as bad season as them.
Yeah.
But you would expect a lot more from Ruturaj Gaikwad, and he hasn't done anything. To be fair, even last night he didn't. Even last evening he wasn't able to take off. In fact, Ruturaj Gaikwad, you would expect a lot more because of the ODI debut that he made, not the ODI debut, the ODI series that he played when Shreyas Iyer was injured with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. And even in that series, you saw Ruturaj Gaikwad score 100. So he's in the mix of things with the Indian team, and the selectors are looking for him. And he has a lot of fans. A lot of people want him in the squad. A lot of people even think he was rightly out of the T20 squad when he deserved to be in the T20 squad in the last couple of years. Yet in this IPL, when it's his time to prove once again, put a step down, especially when he's opening with an Indian opener. He hasn't really done much, has he? And yeah, it's quite a disappointment. I think yesterday would have been one hell of a day if he took off and he scored 80 of, let's say, 50 deliveries or something like that. And he stamped his authority in a difficult pitch when no one's able to score runs. I, as the captain, am able to score. He scored runs yesterday, but it wasn't any effective. Didn't really do much, is all I'm going to say.
What I feel like is that the expectations around a T20 opener have undergone a rapid transformation in the last
True.
couple of years, more so
True.
from 2024 when Abhishek and Travis Head came along. Now,
Yep.
because the expectations are really high and because Rituraj Gaikwad is one of those belongs to that generation where their where the foundation was laid very differently, where it was about biding time or staying on to the crease or staying on the crease for full 20 overs. So probably there's a lot of pressure on him to play in a certain way that doesn't come naturally to him, because he take his time and then
True, true.
accelerate. And it's just too much pressure that he's not able to cope with at the moment. Last season, majority of it he missed because of the injury, so we weren't in a position to assess whether
Yeah.
he'd managed to bring his game up to date with what was happening around in the IPL. But this time around, it's been a sad sight. In fact, even
Yeah,
Ajinkya Rahane, like, he's faced a lot of
true.
flag, but he's scoring runs, and he's scoring runs at a decent pace as well. But with Ruturaj Gaikwad and Ryan Parag at the other end, it's the fact that even the runs have just not come.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Rahane can do it, so can Ruturaj Gaikwad. I mean, it's you could play a certain way your entire career, and of course, it's difficult to change. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
But for Ruturaj Gaikwad to not be able to do it over a couple of seasons, it's quite shocking. But what's more shocking was last year when the Royal Challengers Bangalore won their first IPL, and you see them playing tonight against the Delhi Capitals, and that's the game tonight. Yes, I said that. I did. It's not a surprise. They're the best team. We also made a video about it before you give us a lot of shit about it. But yes, the Delhi
Well,
Capital
that's what
does take on
covering
the
up
Royal.
looks like.
Huh?
RCB fans, do not go easy on him. He's just trying to cover up. He said what he said.
Well, yeah, I did say what I said. Sure, sure, why not? If that brings us engagement, then might as well. But yes, Rajasthan Royals, the Royal Challengers Bangalore take on the Delhi Capitals tonight. It will be a very interesting game. I do see the RCB just walking over the Delhi Capitals unless something really surprising does happen. If you do want to know if something did happen, come back tomorrow at 8 a.m. to Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks. Until then, see you next time. Peace.